CMPRadio.net. It's the station.
All right. Welcome to CMPRadio.net, the voice of Chester. You are now live on the wonderful world of Rich Blye. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. My man, Jean-Pierre, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. How are you?
Challenged.
Challenged?
Challenged.
But you like challenges.
No, listen.
You seem like a brother that always is able to meet the challenge at its highest demand. You know what that means?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do tackle challenges.
Right.
You know, there are some challenges that have to be overcome, some adversities that have to be overcome.
Absolutely.
You know, it's pretty much like organic. It's the inorganic challenges, I should say, or, you know, individuals or folks who create certain obstacles for whatever reason that start a frustration. Let's get started with first by saying, how is everybody doing? Happy Mother's Day to all moms out there in the world. I hope that you had a very glorious and enjoyable weekend, and that everything that you could possibly get from your loved ones, children, other siblings, husbands, and everything, that it was very enjoyable. I'm very happy to see all of the pictures of people celebrating their moms. As we all know, some of us did not have that opportunity, you know, this time around to deal with the traumas and the pains of losing a mom's around, you know, this time. So in conjunction with Mental Health Month, we all know that this is Men's Mental Health Mondays. And we're going to dive into some things. But first, as usual, there has to be some scripture. So, Ecclesiastes 10, observation of wisdom and folly. Dead flies cause the ointment of apothecary to send forth a stinking savior. So doth a little folly him that is in the reputation for wisdom and honor. A wise man's heart is in his right hand, but a fool's heart is at his left. Yea, also, then he that is a fool walketh by the way, his wisdom fails him, and he has said to everyone that he is a fool. If the spirit of the ruler rises up against thee, leave not thy place, for yielding pacifies great offensives. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, and as an error which proceedeth from the ruler. Folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in a low place. I have seen servants upon horses, and I have seen princes walking as servants upon the earth. He that diggeth a pit shall fall into it, and whosoever breaketh a hedge, a serpent shall bite him. Whosoever removes stones shall be hurt therewith, and he that cleaveth wood shall be endangered thereby. If the iron be blunt, and he not be whet the edge, then he must put to more strength, but the wisdom is profitable to direct. Surely the serpent will bite without enchantment, and a babbler is no better. That's a gossiper. The words of a wise man's mouth are gracious, but the lips of a fool will swallow him self. The beginning of the words of his mouth is foolishness, and the end of his talk is mischievous madness. That's Ecclesiastes 10, verse 1 through 13. I would read the rest of the passage, but I don't think that some of you are going to get what I'm about to start talking about, because we're going to talk about today presence versus being present. Now, we talk a lot about in our families, specifically, folks, this is cmpradio.net, the voice of Chester in Chester. So bear with me as I start to talk to what I know, the black family. Let me talk to what I understand about being a black father. Let me talk to you about what I understand of being in a relationship, being married, and having, children with a significant other black woman and raising black children. So this is not against anyone, but I have to speak from an experience on this podcast because I'm not Italian, Greek, Jewish, or anything like that. So, but I know we all have similar experiences, but we all do not have the same environmental issues that plague us to this day, like generational curses from people who are fools in our family. Being present is just that. You are a plant. Just being present doesn't cut the mustard. Now I want to talk about the black male hierarchy. I have seen in my lifetime, like I say, I'm not the expert. I'm not, I don't have any letters in front of my name, behind my name. So I'm not here saying you got to listen and go off what I say. But I do have 59 years on this planet, and I have seen certain things from my generational past that don't add up with my situational now. I see things with my situational now that don't add up to my possible future, because I see the behaviors or the lack of thereof in our community. And where we need to start is with the black hierarchy. Being present is not the standard. Do you understand that the difference between being a presence and being present has a different type of value? Black men. A presence. And the reason why I say that is because I do a lot of mentoring with a lot of different families. And some of them are single moms, their kids are teenagers and everything like that. And they're looking for like job opportunities and, different ways that they can step up their portfolio and go various places. There are kids like here in Chester that I now know that are working over at Harris, starting a young family. And I'm very proud of these men because, they beat the odds of being a young black man in Chester. They're not in jail. They haven't seen behind prison bars. They're now working. They've graduated high school. They've gotten, diplomas and, and they've gone on to start to build their young lives. But I want to say this. I wasn't present for it. I was a presence for it. Now, I'm not these kids' fathers or grandfather or anything like that. There's no blood relationship or, any type of, relationship with the moms or anything like that. What it is that when I ask to help someone, I'm supposed to be the best example of that help. That's what you're asking me for. You're asking me to be a presence in the life of your child. One of the things that I hold near and dear to anything that I do, it starts with the word trust. And the word trust is something that every child needs. For a daughter, the father is the first superhero. We've heard that. We've seen the memes. We've seen the reels and stuff like that. But this is an actual fact. For daughters, we are the first superheroes. We are the invincible ones. We are the people that can get it done because they see the way that we work. But there are also some men out there that are villains. And your daughters aren't seeing the way that you work. They don't see you working, or they don't see you at all. Or you're going to be present at these upcoming graduations, or you're going to be present at these upcoming proms, or you're going to be present for whatever activities that these kids are graduating from and going into without being a presence, meaning that you didn't offer anything sustainable in order for them to have the foundation that we so desperately need in our children, black men as fathers. Do I sound condescending? I shouldn't. But does it sound condescending? Yes, it does. Does it touch a nerve? It just might. Do I care? No, I don't. And I'm only doing this, like I said, off the benefit of my experience, because this weekend has been very interesting, challenging, again, to say the least, with dealing with multiple family issues that really tested the mental health and my resolve this weekend. And I want to make something perfectly clear to folks. In my family, I have set goals. You've seen my children and my grandchildren come on the show, but I've set goals for this year because I am more than aware that the fatigue that is felt, whether you want to call it white fatigue, black fatigue, Asian fatigue, whatever fatigue, everybody is tired of everybody's mess. Everybody's tired. Everybody's tired of hearing, da-da-da. Everybody's tired of the red versus blue. Everybody's tired of, what this person did back in the day versus what this person is doing today. People are tired. They want some simple, basic things. They want a good job with some good money. They want a good home. They want to be able to take care of their children. They want to have a stable, suitable life with a significant other. And then the rest of that, all comes into play with how they put it together. But we got some people out here on this planet, men, that feel as though that our presence isn't warranted. So as I segue off the men, I want to segue into the black woman. Now, a lot of people, oh, here we go. You go to bash the woman. No, I'm not. I don't bash women. I do not bash women. I see women. This weekend, I saw a lot of women up at the Delco Gives at the WFS. What's the name of that place? The sports bank, where the soccer stadium is. Saw a lot of women. A lot. Ones that carry themselves with a certain distinction, with a certain virtue. Ones that were like, hey, talking to you as if, hey, you're a fellow human being. And then I saw the flash with the trash. I saw all the flamboyant, let me rub this in your face type of deal too. I want to say this for some black women. Stop talking all that unity jazz that you talking, because it's straight BS. You ain't kidding nobody over here. Stop talking that you respect the positions that we're in, because you're lying. Stop talking about, I know what it takes for you to be a man. No, you don't. You have no idea what it takes to be a man, because I don't have no idea what it takes to be a woman. I can't begin to tell you. It's complicated. You are multifaceted, emotional individuals that we have to proceed with caution with. And a good many of us do. But then there's some of you that are some habitual line steppers that just got to make your presence known instead of just being present in certain situations. See how I flipped that over? I went from the man just being present and having an actual presence to now saying to the woman that you sometimes have to just be present instead of being a presence, meaning you in the way. Case in point. This weekend I had the very distinct pleasure of once again watching my grandchildren for the weekend over in Delaware. And like I said, it's a pleasure because these kids, I love them. I love them. I love them. And they love me. When I was asked to perform this task of watching these particular children, I did not hesitate. I didn't think about it, worry about it. I asked around anybody, hey, you got a schedule that something you need me to do, blah, blah, blah. My post had something to do. I still showed up for my American Legion to assist my American Legion, but I made sure to be a presence for these 3 particular children because mom, was celebrating Mother's Day. I've watched these children numerous times in my home, in their home, out in social circles, good times, go-karting, Wonder World, Wally World, whatever you want to call it. These kids always have a good time around me or whatever. But here comes the problem. Mom had a small emergency. That small emergency was corrected over a period of time, and no one was hurt and no one was injured, but it was an extreme emergency because it's something that has never happened before. And I understood the assignment. Because the assignment required that I change locations and logistics because there were more people involved than just that household, there were certain things that I had to quickly do without consulting anyone because I was left in charge. Now, I'm not saying that as a prideful way. I'm saying I'm already used to leadership. I'm already used to problem solving. I'm already used to raising my own children. I'm already used to being a single dad raising a child singularly. I'm already used to dealing with other people's children way before I got to these 4 children this past weekend. I've changed diapers, I've wiped butts, I've cleaned up poop and piss and vomit and snot. I never passed over to mom and said, here, change the baby. Oh, go get me a pamper, let me change you. That's being a presence. And these are things that I want to say to most women. I'm sorry that you didn't have a man or that you don't have a man that don't know how to do these things. That's not my problem. Go talk to his mother, go talk to his father, and ask them why they weren't taught. These are things that I was taught how to do. These are things that I understood were my responsibilities in doing. What gets me and why I'm coming hard out with this is that I have certain members of her family questioning the way that I run my operations. Now, with a certain due respect, if I come into your home, however you're running your household, if I don't care for it or not or whatever, I'm going to mind my business. It's not my house. It's not my rules. It's not the way that I run things. If your house is unkempt, I don't go back and say, oh, your house is this, that, and the third, whatever. Hey, you like it, I love it. That's who you are. But let me explain something to you about my house. My house has a certain order. Whether people want to follow it or not, my house does have order. I do have a higher expectation of my children to achieve, and I absolutely have an expectation of my grandchildren to be successful. Absolutely, I do. If you're the head of your family and you're not being that type of presence for your family and invoking that as the leader of your family, then there's absolutely something wrong with you. Absolutely. If you're not demanding excellence and the buck stops with you as the grandmom or the grandfather, and you see your kids ain't putting that value that you put inside your kids, and they saying it's a new time and a new age, you got to understand, smack the grandkid and the kid and your child. Smack them both. Smack them both. Now, I'm not advocating violence. I'm just saying, y'all know what we talking about, black people. Smack them both because you're the problem. And what I've been seeing lately, and this has been my frustration, and I always speak from my experience because it's Men's Mental Health Monday, and this is my platform where I get to talk about those frustrations, is to have somebody talk to somebody else and not respect my presence as the adult in the situation if you have a question about something that's going on while I'm monitoring someone else's children. That's weird. That is the weirdest thing in all of my adulthood when I've had to watch other people's children or my own. When my children came to where I lived, baby mom better not have called me and say what they doing, what's going on, what they getting into, what they eat, blah, blah, blah. Don't call that. Once you put these children in my charge, I'm going to make sure that they're fed. But I cook for real. I don't do processed foods, dog. I don't do any processed foods that I can help. I don't eat that garbage. But I know that these kids do, so I try to accommodate. I try to slip in some vegetables. I try to slip in dad's secret sauce or whatever. I make a mean pot of spaghetti, and I know kids will eat that, and I grind up vegetables so they think that it's in with the meat, and so they get it with me, because I know that in certain households they don't get it all the time. I'm not saying that they don't get it. They don't get it all the time. And how can I determine that? Because I can look at the health of these children. With the availability of understanding the science now of how these fatty processed foods are killing us in our community, I have the full understanding that we shouldn't be eating it. I have the full understanding that these chemically produced food products have caused damage inside of our Black community with our children. These genetically modified foods, this genetically modified organic foods are a cause. Now, people, oh, well, some things are just like this, blah, blah, blah. Can I just get some simple dirt? Can I just get some simple plants? Can I just get some simple vegetables? And I can show you the difference. Or go to a farmer's market and get some actual fresh food. Or some actual produce junction, whatever. Some actual fresh food. If you are a young generation of family coming up, please do yourself a favor and do not feed your kids chicken nuggets and fries. Do not put them on a hamburger diet. Do not make McDonald's the bailout to feed your kid. There are so many different ways that you can be a presence in feeding your children, actually being in the kitchen, actually hearing the sounds of pots and pans banging, clanking against the stove, actually seeing spoons turn, actually seeing the swivel of mama cooking up the meal like we grew up with. Now all of a sudden it's put the chicken nuggets in the microwave, turn it on for 4 minutes, and put that garbage in front of them, and we calling that a meal. No, not with me. I can't do it. And I understand people want to hit me with some people can't afford it. You can miss me with all of that, because I've been in some houses and your freezers and refrigerators are packed. Once again, it's how you spend money. It ain't that you ain't got money. It ain't like you ain't got access to EBT or anything like that. And I understand that the government has regulated some people from $184 down to $24 based upon your income. But it's supposed to be what it is, and we talked about this again, supplemental. That's the main word, supplemental. You have the responsibility of feeding yourself and your child. So I'm going to get off of that. Black children, let me say this very gently. Very gently. A lot of you children are growing up with parents who are your friends. Y'all buddies. That's my best friend. Your child is your best friend. Okay. That's cool. But see, parents and children of these parents that have that type of relationship, you have a different language that you speak to one another. You have a different bluntness that you speak to one another. But unfortunately, your child hasn't mastered the ability of just being present when adults are talking, and they want to establish themselves as a presence by interjecting themselves in the conversations that have nothing to do with them because they weren't asked. Now, I say this to a lot of people, stay in the child's place. Oh, you can't. I will absolutely say stay in the child's place. I don't have adult conversations with children. And I want to know, when did that become so popular that your 14-year-old child can sit back and have a conversation on an adult level, but then when they go out here into school or these social places and they run their mouths to somebody, next thing you know, you up at a school or you trying to break up a fight and you wondering why your kid is getting into it with an adult. That's because your child is too comfortable with you that they think they could be comfortable with everybody else. And people like myself, I don't play that. I'm not supposed to dumb down a standard just because that's the way that other people are. I'm not supposed to change my value just because you have zero. That's not my fault, and that's not my place, and it's not in my bloodline. So I want to say this very gently for a particular family in Philadelphia. When you come across this, don't you ever cross me with my bloodline. I mean that wholeheartedly. Don't cross me with my bloodline. This is where I draw the line. There are certain things that I've been quiet with a certain family in Philadelphia that I've seen over the years, and how you talk to people and how you talk about people and how you treat people. And I've said nothing. But to this certain family in Philadelphia, I want you to understand. I understand who's in your family. I understand what you got. I understand it very, very well. But I'm going to say it again. Stay out of my affairs when I have my family. Mind your business with what I do with my grandson. My grandson. See, my son is dead. Murdered. So there's no role model that can fill that void except for this man. Because all of his questions about who he is or who he would like to be stem from the fact that he had a relationship with his father, and now that's gone. And the only person closest to it is two people, his uncle and myself. So a lot of women who say we can fill these gaps and you fill these roles, absolutely you cannot. Just like when I had my daughter singularly, I could not fill the role of a mother to her. I could not perform the necessary task when it came to her biological functions at the end of the month. I could not perform those tasks. I didn't even try to perform those tasks to explain those tasks. What I did is I sought the wisdom and the counsel of a woman and said, please help me to help my daughter understand what she needs to do with her womanhood. Not that I was ashamed of it. I know that it's not my place. So for a lot of you women out here, you got to understand your place too when it comes to the lives of these little boys. See, these hypersexualized boys that we have now, these little fast boys that want to steal your car, these little fast boys that are carrying the guns and the switches and everything like that. When we try to intercede and put our presence and make our presence known with our voice and our testosterone and the way that we speak and the way we barrel our chest and the way that we slit our eyes, the way that we well up in front of these young men is to let them know that directly, in order for you to get to this position, you got to go through what we went through. There's a certain gauntlet to getting to manhood. It's not just bestowed upon you because you drop some sperm into an egg. That is not manhood. That is not manhood. Going to jail is not manhood. That's no rite of passage either. The passage into manhood is studying how to be a protector, understanding how to be a self-sufficient provider, how to be a great conversationalist and listen. But women, please understand that like all men, the majority of us deal with things logically. So I know that there's a bunch of effeminate men who lead with their emotions on their sleeve. I get that. It is what it is. It's not my level. So don't worry about it. But that level is what a lot of women gauge and judge men off. And then when you meet somebody like me and you think that I'm standoffish or I'm put off, no, I'm not. I don't deal with the dumb stuff. I don't deal with the silliness. I'm not silly. You know what I mean? Silly rabbit tricks are for kids. And I don't even eat that cereal. We have to be I want a lot of women to understand. We have to be the new elders right now. The ones that have been present and have created a presence and left us with a legacy, and they're still here, they're getting tired. You can see the weariness on their face when they still try to smile, but they're absolutely tired, going from event to event to event to event, showing up for the community. It's time for a lot of you younger people to accept the mentorship from your fantastic role models and leaders so you can assume these positions before you have to be trained to assume these positions. You should be taking notes now. You should be establishing yourself now. Sit us down early. I would love to go sit in a rocking chair, bro. I would love to sit back and have a nice adult beverage and be watching my sports game and looking out and seeing that there's 5 dynamic black men doing the same things that I'm doing to help the community. And they saying, OG, just relax. We call you when we need you. But we can't get that because we got a lot of simpletons in the way, fools, that want to play this game, this emotional level game of being present, but not being a presence. Let's segue into the hot topic of Chester real quick. Speaking of being present and being a presence, boy, it's heating up around here in Chester, isn't it? Whole lot of talking. A lot of talking. Now, I want to say this very gently. I don't have any stake or claim in who you elect in these next upcoming elections, Chester. Number one, I am non-party affiliated, so I don't care about Republican or Democrat Party politics. Let's keep that 100. I don't care. I don't care. Reason why I don't care about the politics is because I care about the reality of the people who vote. They have a civic duty to go vote for the candidate that they choose, and that's your choice. Any questions? Shouldn't be. It's none of my business who you vote for. But there's a lot of talk, man. This is very interesting. Bent up signs and, do you know that when you touch somebody else's campaign poster, remove it, bend it, mutilate it, any kind of way, that you're breaking laws? Has anybody ever told Chester campaign offices that when you allow your people, whichever side that it's on, I don't care. Again, I care more about the action than the people. The actions that they're doing is a crime. And if they're doing it in front of residences and people capture it on film, it could go to the district attorney's office. Because there are protections attached to these posters. They're not just posters out there and say, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. They're protected property under campaign laws and policies, Chester. So if you're one of the many people who wants to choose the other side and you don't like this person because of this, that, and the third, and you don't like the other candidate because of the third, that's fine. Have your civil discourse. But please understand, destruction of campaign property is a punishable fine and or arrest. So please, Chester, don't let nobody solicit you into a crime. Don't let nobody talk you into doing something against the law. And it's childish. I've been watching the folks who posted, about this situation. Y'all know who y'all are. And I want to say this. CMPradio.net is the voice of Chester. The voice of Chester. Because your mayors are going to come and go. Your state reps are going to come and go. Your council people are going to come and they're going to go. You know what's going to remain? CMPradio.net, the voice of Chester. This podcast, all of our content creators, we're all committed to bringing valuable stories that cultivate maturity and positivity, but we also talk about the current events that go on around Chester. We talk about the people of influence in Chester. So if you're a person of influence, please understand, just like you get the good, you're going to get the bad too. I get it a lot. Trust me. I've been called an a-hole, a B word, and I've been called the C word. I've been called the N word. I've been called all of that stuff. You know what I do? I'll take that. I'll take it because it's energy. And I take that energy and I transform it because my father taught me how to turn poison into medicine. Taught it to me. Apothecary, self-healing. That's what my father taught me. So when those barbs come, yeah, they sting, but they don't hurt because I know where it comes from. It comes from an evil place of wickedness and foolishness. And right now, what we're seeing in the last stages before you guys go and hit your midterm votes and everything like that is a lot of foolishness. See, Chester, I sing the praises of you guys, but today is a day that I just have to say that this dysfunction that you continuously show, you're getting two candidates from the same party. Both have track records. Both have influence. Both have done things in the community. But this negativity surrounding who's going to get the seat and who's not going to get the seat, and then people want to challenge the call letters of this radio station, y'all want to say this. Leave the radio station out of it. If we have a opinion, that's what it is. We are allowed, and I'm really getting tired. I'm gonna say this very gently too about presence and presence. I'm really getting tired of certain members of the Democratic Party not understanding freedom of speech. Y'all are real cuckoo. Y'all real wacko. Because your feelings get hurt over words? Are you kidding me? Words? Words hurt you. Soft. Then you're soft. How about that? You're soft. You're soft as the stuff in a baby's diaper. Soft as applesauce. Soft as butter. You gonna cry? You gonna cry? Cry. Because people have been talking about people since the day of creation. People have been whispering in other people's ears since the day of creation. We know the whispers down the lane here at CMPradio.net every day. And guess what we do? Keep it moving.
It's not always what I did. I used to think that how people viewed me affected me. Mm-hmm. Until I realized it really didn't.
Nope.
So I don't mind it because it brings attention to the radio station. I don't mind it because it is a community radio station. So whoever wants to come through here.
But see, that's my point. Come through here. Don't whisper down the lane.
That's what they do.
I know that's what they do, but see, this is where we throw the challenge back. We understand that that's what you do. But do us a favor.
No.
Do us a favor. If you want to come and critique anything about my show or about any one of our amazing content creators, I heard Leslie's name was mentioned.
Yeah, because she was just going down the street.
Going down the street, you know, being an independent journalist.
And it was her cousin that named her. So
okay.
her and that's family.
No, listen, I get that.
But it was the fact that he said Leslie CMP.
Yeah, right. That's my point.
So for me, it wasn't over, you know, because if you would have just said Leslie,
it wouldn't have said nothing.
But he knew what he meant when he said Leslie CMP. And listen, right, the radio station has been here to highlight the things that have gone right in our community, never to highlight the things that go wrong in our community. Do we have to hold some people accountable? Absolutely. But that's the thing. When you hold people accountable, they then get to shivering and shaking, and you know, they get mad, they get upset, they point, they cuss, they yell. I don't have a problem with a person coming here and doing a podcast from here, talking to me about how they let me know your vision. Like, that's what I want to know. Like, you're running for public office, whoever is. And I'm not putting it on a one particular
not at all
group of people, but why don't the community know what your plans are? What are your plans? Right? And that's been my whole thing for the radio station. So once I put that out year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7, I don't put it out year 8 at all. And year 9, I ain't put it out.
Right.
Because this will be 9 years. You feel me?
Yep.
September. So I'm not putting it out, right? Because I don't feel like I have to. The radio station has been here. So if anybody wants to come through, if anybody wants to hold a meeting or talk to the public, they can do that. But the thing is, they don't want the radio station to have that much power. See, that's dangerous when the politicians realize that the radio station has more power than them. The radio station is seen as a powerful entity. Now it's whatever the radio station says is true. So we gotta mess that up. We can't have that be that, because that's scary. Because now we really gonna have to be accountable for some shit. Now we really gonna have to fix some shit. Now we really gonna have to do some shit. And second off, the person that own it is Pierre. Who the fuck is he?
Right.
He ain't go to school for this stuff. He just started it. He lucked up. Again, I understand why we can't do what we should be doing. I even get why Pierre can't do what he should be able to do. But this community is deserving of so much more: better leadership, better accountability takers, better transparency showers, and a community that can heal and grow. And until we understand that's what we need, that's what we deserve, we'll keep on fighting over dumb shit. I don't fight over dumb shit.
Right.
There's no one that can ever tell you, yo, Pierre fought over something stupid.
Right.
Is it dumb? Yeah, it's dumb. Are we arguing? Yes, we are. So once you get out your words, we can go back and forth. We can have a conversation. Let's go drink a beer.
Exactly.
Let's go have a conversation. Let's talk about, and let's figure out how we can come to a median.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. And I say this to anybody. I've said this on Facebook. I've said this to my police superintendent. I've said this to every mayor in where I live, no matter who you are as a public official. Let me know your location. Let's have a cup of coffee. I say it pointed, oh, what, you threatening me? No, I'm not threatening you, buddy. I'm telling you, I want to come have a cup of coffee and talk to you. See, folks, I want to say this, and I know, oh, we live in this time and age, somebody's going to kill you. Somebody dies every day, B. If somebody has that much hate in their heart that they want to kill me over words, then it's just going to happen. I'm not wishing for it. I'm not praying on it. But if somebody has that much hatred in their heart over words because I may disagree with you, then there's something wrong with you. And that's what the people need to look at in their leadership. If your leadership can't take constructive criticism, then you know they're going to go up to Harrisburg and fold. If your elected official can't take the community saying, hey, you know, we had these programs back in the day and what happened to them and what happened to the money and all this other type stuff and why did the programs dry up or whatever, that's accountability. Yeah, I saw that post, bro. Yo, listen, that's 240 comments. Look, I was in that joint. I said I ain't gonna say nothing till I got here.
Right, and even in that, right? Shout out to everybody.
Absolutely.
that talked about what they used to do.
Absolutely.
And shout out to everybody that's
Continuing to do it. Absolutely.
Do the same, right? I just feel like more hands make light work. You feel me? There's no reason why someone starts something to benefit a community and then someone starts something on the other side that mirrors the same exact thing that he started to benefit the community, but yet you don't give him any, thank you for giving me that idea, because I wasn't thinking about that before.
Right.
When they come in and they see, and I play stupid, bro. You feel me? I play dumb at the door, so you come in like, yo, we get all this information, let's get it. But you're going to have to keep coming back to get the information. Right. And eventually you're going to drop something that's valuable to me. Yep. And once I get it, then I'll stand up and I'll begin to speak. And then you'll be like, oh, shit, he was playing this the whole time. So I don't have a problem with someone thinking I'm slow. I don't have a problem with someone thinking I can't add anything to their situation, because in all actuality, I don't want to add to yours. I need your resources to add to mine. Right. So, I'm super proud of the past Republican Party that was in the city, that was doing good things. You feel me? And like I said, if all of these things were done, they should have continued to be done. They could have continued to be done. And why did they stop?
Exactly.
And nobody
had an answer for that. Because I went down the list, bro. There was a list of at least 39 different programs that, viable, accessible programs. And like the way that it was described by the one commenter, and I loved how he did it. He explained it like as if this is a common sense thing and this is matter of fact. And like I really appreciated his comment out of all of the comments that I read. Everybody had a good comment on that feed, but I really appreciate his comment because to me it put a lot of different things in perspective, like you said. So if we had these programs, what happened?
Why did they stop?
What happened? And I think that type of accountability question is a good place to start with the viable nonprofits and programs that are still remaining, the ones that are just getting started and continuing and having flourishing success. And let me tell you something. I emulate success. If I see somebody being successful and they have something that is absolutely working, I'm supposed to look at that as free information and take that free information, add to it, add to my dynamic. But I get you when I say, in my case, if I get a program that I see, like I talk about this King Gillum, okay? That kid is phenomenal. That kid is amazing. I like what he's doing. Would I love to mirror something that he's doing? Absolutely. And when somebody would come up to me, oh, you copying off of him? Yeah. I am. It's working. He got something that works. And he's saying, we should be doing this all across America. He's saying that. See, this is why I'm talking about presence and present. You got these present people in the present that only see what they see, which is the front of their shoes, their tippy toes. They don't see a mile down the road. They don't see that, hey, on the horizon, that something else is coming that's bigger than you, that you're not going to be able to handle because you're not equipped for it.
So what do you consider them to be?
What do I consider them to be?
If they don't have the vision for the trek, then they're not the leaders.
Yeah, they're the placeholders.
They're not the chiefs.
They're the placeholders.
They're the Indians.
They're the placeholders.
So just be an Indian. Ain't nothing wrong with being an Indian. You be a chief in your own house.
You know, bro. We all know about certain people who should be Indians, but they're getting paid to be the chiefs.
No, I don't care if you getting. There are certain people that are getting paid to be the chiefs that are still not the chiefs because you don't have the vision.
Of course not.
You don't know how to save anybody. Only thing you know how to do is put money in your bank account, and that's good, but that's not helpful to us. Because if we can't use the money in your bank account, how is that helpful to us? I had 2 jobs, bro. Paying me $150,000. I was good. Yeah. I really was. I quit those jobs. not fired from them.
Right.
I quit those jobs to give me some space so I could grieve properly.
Yes.
So I could be frustrated and mad and upset. You don't know what it's like when a person is used to having one thing when he had two.
Mm-hmm.
And now you strip away the one thing that I had, and I'm supposed to remain the same. I'm supposed to come out here and laugh at your stupid ass jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm supposed to laugh at the fact that you just want to get drunk all day and don't want to do anything. What are you celebrating? I'm supposed to loan you money when you spend money all crazy like I got it like that. Like this is what you want me to continue to do.
Mm-hmm.
No, I had to change. So I fell back. I had to sit here with my daughter. And I had to analyze what I was doing with the radio station, what I was doing with my personal self. It wasn't no shot at nobody.
No.
I don't know why people feel like
because when you change and when you start to change for the better for yourself. So let's start with yourself first, because I say this as fathers. Positive fathers who are already good role models to their children, I don't need to include I'm a good dad. My children speak for me.
Boy.
I don't have to say I'm a good dad. I never tell anybody, oh, I'm a good dad. Everybody else tells me I'm a good dad because they see my action and my behavior that comes with it. If my kids get out of line, if my grandkids do something stupid, oh, I'm fully accountable. Yo, you got to get out of here. I know you, my grandson. Beat it. You disrespected. You didn't show the proper value that I know I put into you, and you did this ratchetness. Get on out of here. You got to go. I'm not the type of grandparent or parent that's going to excuse the negative behavior of my child and come find some excuse as to why somebody didn't do something to help them benefit when I sent them out into the world with everything that they needed in order to do the right thing. So I don't want to hear that. And this is where we're at now with a lot of people where we're excusing the bad behavior of folks who are putting on these mantles of leadership and promising you lies, because if they did it before, then they wouldn't have been put out.
I'll do it again.
Okay? They wouldn't be put out. Let's be honest. Okay? When we talk about elections have consequences, elections did have consequences. There was a change. People made a choice. You weren't it. Hell, I know that. People made a choice with me. They went and got some other people to do Juneteenth and, do this, da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey, I get it. You don't want me, but you gotta have the ceremony, you gotta have the celebration, you gotta do it. So they go get very reputable people who understand the knowledge of our diaspora. They, like I said, it's not that they're not getting people who don't understand the same things that I understand. But here's the thing. Someday soon, this acknowledgement for a trailblazer is going to happen. And the way that it's going to happen is up to those people who stood in my way. We could do this the easy way, or we could do this the hard way. I'm hoping for the hard way. I'm dead serious, bro. I'm dead serious about that. I'm dead serious for any of these people since the time that I started this campaign to make Juneteenth recognizable in Delaware County, not just Chester, because I tell people all the time, I come to Chester to learn. Chester has valuable information inside of its libraries. There's so many points and destinations of history up here in Chester that I've driven to, and I've walked around just silently absorbing the information. So when I talk to folks, please understand, when I ask a question, I already know the answer to it. I'm just looking to see if you're going to lie. That's how I do things. I don't just ask a question to see what you're going to say. I want to see what you don't say. I want to see if you're going to lie to folks. Because I can't come on these airwaves and lie to folks. I can't. I mean, I could, but then there's a consequence for that, And anybody that is in any type of journalism or anyone that is in a type of podcast forum where like we are, radio station, we understand the responsibilities not only to ourselves as adults, as responsible human beings, as content creators. We have an audience that is listening to see if we match their value. And that's what the radio station is about. Like I keep trying to tell people, when they want to get rid of the people understanding what's happening in the world, the first thing that they attack is the radio station. See, all your radio stations are under pretty much one banner. Radio, whatever, this, that, and the third, this, that, and the third. They are under different banners. And those banners control the content. So whatever is said, let's say in Milwaukee, in a black neighborhood, is repeated here in Chester. Because these radio stations have a set and a format that they must adhere to because they're underneath those type of freedom of speech restrictions. They can only say what they're told to say. So if you have a radio station that's talking about, you know, violence and drill music and killer rap and all this other type stuff, who do you think gave the green light for it? Somebody gave the green light for it. And everybody want to talk about, I don't know where they get this from. Social media and the music. Social media and the music. Because case in point, like I said, had the kids for the weekend. I'm just sitting on the couch after cooking dinner and everything like that. And I'm listening to what's on the television upstairs. And at first I hear like one cuss word. I'm like, okay, it might be a movie. You know, kids hear a curse word every here and now and then. You know what I mean? They hear their mom curse. Next thing I know, I'm hearing a sling farm, I run up the stairs. Yo, 9-year-old, what? I don't want to hear that no more. I said, what did I say? I don't want to hear that anymore. That's too young for you. I understand you're watching the sport, but the language is not something that you need to pattern yourself if you're going to play that sport. If you're doing that for views and likes and that's what you try to model yourself after, you got to remember, not everybody going to appreciate you talking trash like that. And he found out the hard way because he took that attitude into school and he had to realize you in a neighborhood where they do that every day. Every day. Every day. They wake up to it. They come to school with it. They go home with it. They around their parents with it. They around their parents, homies, and friends with it. Aunts, uncles, grandmas come in with it. And that's their language. That's what they speak. You don't speak that language because your mother doesn't speak that language. Your grandfather doesn't speak that language. Other people in your house don't speak that language. You're not in that environment. So stop trying to be. Case in point, the sentencing of that young man that killed Julio Fulio. Man, I feel bad for that brother. And the reason why I feel bad for that brother is that he gave up a promising life. He lived in a quiet, suburban community with 2 parents in a great school with all the resources in the world. He did not have to emulate the gang drug culture. He didn't. He had coaches, counselors, teachers, scholarly people in front of him. But he listened to that rap music and decided he wanted to be a gangster. So don't tell me that that music doesn't influence our children. Please don't argue with me about why this particular type of music in our black culture is necessary. We don't need no more stories about killing. We don't need no more stories about calling a woman a hoe and a bee. We don't need any more stories about calling us N-words and hitting licks and all this. We don't need any more of that. That type of music. I mean, like, I understand that there's some brothers out here that say, man, no, then you need to culturally change yourself. You need to put some Jodeci in your life. You need to put some type of culture like, go listen to a jazz set. You don't have to, you know what I mean? Go listen to a blues set and change your harmonics. Change your harmonics. Or better yet, don't play that type of music around those vulnerable, impressionable young ears that think it's okay because you're listening to it and they say, well, my daddy listened to this music, so it's all right for me. It's okay for me to go pick up a gun. It's okay for me to go hit a lick. It's okay for me to call this girl a hoe. It's okay for me to smack a hoe. It's okay for me to do that. But then when you get the men that say we don't want our children doing that, we get the pushback. I don't like your tone and how you said it. Well, you ain't gotta be like that. Why you gotta be da da da? I got asked. Hold on, I want to shout out. I want to shout out my Chester bully, Mr. Geo Stockman. Mr. Stockman, you have an open invitation to come on to my program anytime you want. You want to come on? Come on. Okay? I don't want to hear the next time I see you, man, you ain't invite me up to the radio station. I'm saying it. I'm saying it. Yeah. Bro, you know me. I'm blunt. I'm raw. I'm broad. I'm broader than Broadway. I'm broader than Broad Street. I keep it 100%. I ain't saying no lies. I ain't embellishing nothing. I'm not putting nobody out there. I'm being very honest. Anytime anybody wants to come on this program in my time slot, or you want to do a taping at your leisure, hit me up. We can do this because you need this type of dialogue. You need to ask these questions. People want to ask questions of me. I got asked questions. Hey, I enjoy your show. I watch it from time to time, blah, blah, blah. Tell me, why is it the way that you speak this way? And I explained it because I had my speech taken from me. Voted on. There's a difference, folks, when someone literally, like y'all talking about, oh, our voting rights are getting taken away. We got to fight. My speaking rights, the ability to ascertain my feelings before leadership was stripped. That's why it's the wonderful world of Rich Blye. Because I was put on my own planet. And a lot of you don't understand that feeling until it happens to you. And I can tell you right now, it's the worst feeling in the world for people to publicly condemn you and say you're not valuable, even under the Constitution. So a lot of you who take your freedoms and your rights for granted, I'm happy for you. But you never had your rights and freedoms taken from you. And I'm not talking about going to prison or anything like that. You know, I'm not talking about those circumstances. I'm talking about being a living, viable, productive citizen who had a concern and wanted to speak about it and was told no. And not only are we telling you no, we're going to threaten you with arrest. And not only are we going to threaten you with arrest, we want everybody on this council to vote for it. And they did. And they did. People can't say, that's unbelievable. Upper Darby Township Council. Go back. It's all on video. All on video. I don't make these things up. I'm not doing this for likes. I appreciate you watching my content, but my content is about truth. It's about speaking freely. It's about speaking without fear of any repercussions because you have something on your mind. And like I said, I know that there's people that don't like me. I get it. Hey, everybody ain't gonna like everybody.
And enjoy that.
Yeah, you can enjoy it. That's fine. But if you want to talk about me, I would rather you do it face to face.
Do it to my face.
Yeah, I would rather you do it. Okay.
And
guess what? Like I tell people all the time.
Oh shit.
You know what I mean? My walk with God is what it is. I'm not going to come in there and be raw and looking to hurt somebody. I don't do that. I don't look for fights. I'm not here to put my hands on anybody. I don't do that. But my presence, I know, because I've been told, intimidates a lot of people because I can articulate myself. I can come to a conclusion that's based upon facts. I'm not getting overly emotional or overly stimulated behind the disagreement. And I'm looking for a complementary solution between the two of us so that way we can part amicably. We may or may not agree. But like I said, the majority of the people that I made friends in Delaware County, we were adversarial before we became friends. Love you, Lisa Kelly. Lisa Kelly, that woman said, I couldn't stand you when I met you. Like right to my, hold on, and this is what I loved about it. She said it to my face. You know what I'm saying? She said, I did not like you. Make sure that MFer don't come over here with none of that stuff. But let me tell you, that woman can call me today and I'm there right now. Let me tell you, through a lot of my trauma that I went through with all of the multiple deaths that I went through in my family, when I tell you that was like number 2, number 3 person in my corner, depending upon the situation, number 2 or number 3 in my corner. And I'm not going to forget that because she went through some of the same trauma with me. And people forget about her too. And people don't console her too. And people don't love her too. And people gas her up in her face too. And we see it. Sorry, Lisa. You know I love you. That's why I'm speaking on it. But that's going to end. See, what we want folks to understand is that a lot of this little lasciviousness, a lot of this backbiting, it's going to come to an end. Because all your words are going to be public soon. Soon, your thoughts may even become public. This evolution of the human species and with this algorithm of the internet, social media, and AI is going to incorporate itself one day. We see the growth right now. Your phone practically listens to you. You think it's not going to integrate itself into a certain system that might become biological and biochemical? They're working on that right now. Cyborgs, AI robots, your replacements. It's going to come to a period of time where your presence is no longer required, but we need to have you present in order to show the world that we're still human. You think not? You guys don't watch National Geographic much, do you? You guys aren't watching, science and history, do you? I said last year that the earth is going to give up all of its secrets and the history is going to come forth. Didn't I say that last year, bro? I said last year that the earth is going to give up its secrets and the real history is going to come to light. And that's part of the problem right now because the real history is hitting the youth right now and they got questions. They need to understand exactly where the hell did we get the disconnect, to get this wrong, and why are we continuing along these paths of hate? Because I got people hitting me up. Yo, man, so-and-so such and such don't like you. Well, how do you know that? They whispered in my ear. Yeah? Do me a favor. Tell them to call me. Give them my number. Give them my number. I got a man that's sitting on council right now. We got a standing agreement. I got a man sitting up on council where I live at that had my name in his mouth, knocking on doors and telling people straight up lies. And I mean straight up lies. When I found out about it, when I was put down with it, I was home, I was chilling. I didn't know what was going on, I found out about it. I got to get dressed. I got to meet up with my man, find out what's going on. Yeah, this happened. Hold on, let me verify this. Take me to every place, every house that he went to. I need to talk to everybody he talked to in this neighborhood because this is my community. These are people I deal with. I'm going up, yeah, I was surprised to hear that, are you? I'm like, no, man, I ain't nothing like that. I don't know where this person got that from. I had to backtrack and find out what exactly was said and who said what at these houses. And by the time I found out what was said about me, first of all, sir, I didn't know you. I mean, I know you now. But at the time, I didn't know you. I knew nothing about you. I didn't even know you existed. Who the hell were you? But you had my name in your mouth. And you knocked on doors with it. See, it's one thing for me to come on the radio station and offer an opinion here in this type of setting. I'm not broadcasting dislike. I'm not broadcasting lies. I'm not broadcasting untruths. I'm not putting someone above one another in that type of political arena. That's for y'all to fight. That's not for me to convince people to vote one way or another. But this person didn't know me at all. And he made himself a presence in my community because people believed him. And I had to come back and reestablish my presence back in the community. And that's what got my back hot. That's what got the fur standing up. That's what got my eyes John Blaze red. That's what got my teeth to gnashing. Cause I don't get this, man. I come from an era where you biting out the back of another man was a real ish move. I don't know where did that come in where you literally biting out the back of another man that you don't know. Where did that come from? Because back in the day, I remember you used to get your clock clean for some stuff like that.
Well, we're in a day and age where social media rules everything, and people are entitled to their opinion.
I get that.
It could be passed off as that's an opinion, right? That's how he feels. That's how she feels, and it's not because you have so many distances between other people when they comment on things. They just think that's the way it's supposed to go, and then you can't be out there punching on people because then that proves that you might be
right. And see that's the thing. That's the older self in me. But I can certainly guarantee you that if I was at least 30 years younger, we wouldn't even be talking, bro. We wouldn't be talking.
There wouldn't be no need for no conversation.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be need for conversation. And that's getting to my point. At the end of the day, how that was resolved is that me and this gentleman have a firm understanding. Firm. And it's been that way for years. And I can actually say that I appreciate the fact that he was a man of his word because I was a man of mine. And I still mean it to this day. He's a man of his word. To me, that personal integrity and understanding, the understanding that we have between each other, it's personal. And as long as that line ain't stepped or crossed over, we're going to have an awesome life. But it will never happen again. It'll never happen again. Because I'm going to cross that line. Because like I said, I don't do that to other people. But I'm not going to allow you to do it to me ever again. And that's not on no big, bad wolf or whatever. I'm a man of my word. I don't have to resort to violence to get my point across. That's not my MO. Violence doesn't solve a thing as far as I'm concerned. Violence has never gotten me into the positions that I've been in. Violence has never solved a problem for me. It just created more problems that I had to answer for personally and monetarily. Violence had no place in any of the things that I do. I don't, I might cuss you out. I might be vocal about it. But as far as physically violent, I don't get into all of that until you cross that line. until you toss that point where there is a line. How people say, well, what's your line? What's the line that where is it you'll cross? My line is my personal life. My personal life. My personal life is my personal life. And then my family. And then that's it. Now, for all of those that say, "Whoa, what about friends?" My friends, if I call you family and I talk to you on the book, or I call you on the phone, or I talk to you on the book, if you were in my friends list, you're family. Because everybody ain't in. I don't have thousands of followers, bro. I can tell you right now how many followers. Let me tell you how many people I got on my page, bro. I don't do that. I don't have the time for it. I'll tell you exactly how many people that I got on my stuff. Let me find this thing. Friends, see all. 439 friends. Like I said, less than 500. I don't need all that. I don't need to see everybody's drama. The people that are on my page pretty much are the people that matter, bro. They've been there, at one way or another, whether it's, friends that I've had for a long time. Shout out to my boy Marlon Carr for your birthday, and OG Bobby for your birthday. Damn it. These young bulls. I mean, but yo, shout out to those two gentlemen in particular as well. You know what I mean? These are people that have influenced me in one way or another, whether it's just jokes on Facebook, whether it's him sharing his life story about, dealing with his daughter, and, shout out to that man. And I want to say that. Shout out to that man, because at the time when he exposed himself at that time, I hadn't really seen anything like that. You know what I mean? And he wasn't ashamed of it. You know what I'm saying? People came at his neck, and he wasn't ashamed of it. And I was a person like, yo, man, you better go get your daughter and handle your business, da-da-da. Like, I was uplifting like that. And then, one day it just clicked, and next thing you know, he said, she don't want to go home. I said, that was the plan to begin with. You know what I mean? But not only did it sharpen him, it sharpened her, it sharpened the both of them, and it did change, because you can see it. Now, who he is independently, blah, 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 that's another thing. But as a father, you saw a certain growth, because he shared that. And to me, that was a great example of a man being vulnerable, and the whole community came at him. There's a lot of men that want to express themselves and be that present, but we got people that's keeping them just present. Here's your role. A man has. Can I tell y'all something? I really, really, really hate this thing where people think that because I'm male, I have a certain role. I put it like this. Unless I can't biologically do it, then I cannot achieve that. But if it's something that's just human in nature, I'm going to excel at it. I'm going to be the best I can be for it. I don't need a woman to wash my clothes, even though that people have relegated that as woman's work. And then I keep trying to tell people that during the time of the Civil War, we had to wash our own uniforms. Mama wasn't out there washing nobody's trousers. She wasn't getting the ring around the collar out of your shirt in the battlefield. When we were prospecting for gold, and when we were the Buffalo Soldiers out there building Yellowstone Park and the Grand Canyon and different areas of national recognition, there were no wives with the chuck wagons. There was nobody cleaning the dishes and scraping the tins and everything like that and washing them in the creek. They didn't have a washerwoman. The men had to do it. I watched, because now that people are getting cited for their unkept backyards and things that they don't do quite well because they can't read the rules and regulations of your particular townships, cities, and boroughs. I watched a man who could not even swing a pickaxe into the dirt. Like no overhead, letting the axe handle slide down your hand for a certain impact, so that way the pick goes into the ground to pull up the dirt and the root and whatever of how we see on television. Because you have to be taught how to swing an axe. You have to be taught how to swing overhead and come down with it with a chopping motion and let your hand slide on the axe handle. These are simple and basic things that most men learn growing up. But when you're a man and don't know how to toil the soil even a little bit, you're useless. And I'm sorry if people say, oh, you're being a little bit too more extreme. Everybody can't do this. Let me explain something to you. When this phone dies, when this internet goes, when the electronics stop, when there's nothing to power your devices or anything like that, what you gonna do? You're going to be 30 some odd years old and somebody going to have to tell you that you got to put your back into it to get the soil tilled so you can plant these crops so we can all eat. And you know what you're going to do? Complain. You're going to be present. You're going to come out there, wipe your brow, dig a little bit. There, I'm done. I've done enough. But the men of presence are going to be start to finish. The men who understand the foundation of being there and being useful. Being present is more like a useful idiot. You're just there. You're just taking up space. You're taking up someone's time. I have to tell you, folks, one thing that we don't have a lot of in this world is time. Time. We don't have a lot of. Time waits for no one. So when it comes to time, please understand that I value everyone's time. I don't waste anybody's time. I don't keep people waiting. I don't like being late. That's me. That's me. That's me. I can't expect everybody else to feel that way. And I got you. But please understand that I'm going to have some contempt and disgust. And I probably don't want to work with you no more. Because you're not a timely person, which means it shows that I can't depend upon you. Anybody that asks me to be somewhere, anybody that has asked me to be somewhere, I have been not only present, but a presence. Because if they take the time to think about me joining them in something that's very important for them, then I need to have the same type of respect for it that they do. That's the difference between working with people that are committed. I care about your time. I'm not making this up. People see me in public and they say, oh, you still the same. Yeah, I'm the same all the time. This is me. This is not a game. I'm not putting on an air. This isn't for show. This isn't John Wanamaker's window. I'm not a display. I speak kindly from the heart. I speak about the issues that matter. Like I said, it's my show. cmpradio.net, the voice of Chester, the wonderful world of Rich Blye. And I talk about the things that are relevant. I talk about this lack of apathy that we have in our community where we don't want our men to be a presence. And I saw a lot of that this weekend. I know it was Mother's Day weekend and everything like that, and everybody's feeling themselves, and Tauruses, they in the mix and everything like that, and Geminis are coming up, and, everybody's feeling, what they feel with their zodiac sign and stuff like that, and rightfully so. Enjoy yourselves 100%. Like I'm not against none of that. I'm not against people enjoying themselves. Not at all. But one thing's for certain and two things for sure. if you don't have your house under a certain foundation, it's going to fall. And I'm here to tell you, because even though that my situation with my children, like I say, they're grown, I don't have children issues. I don't have to deal with my kids like some of you do. I don't have to loan them money. I don't have to buy them a car. I don't have to do those things because I taught them their own responsibility of having their own. So that way no one can say to them, I did this for you. That's something that happened with me. I did this for you. Then why are you pointing it out? If you did it for me, you should just smile and keep it moving. But people want to hold stuff over your head. People want to take materialistic things and say, you wouldn't have been nothing unless I did this. That's why at the age of 16, I got the hell out of my mama's house and I ain't looked back. Sorry, Mom. Love you. But I did. I had that mindset. I did not want my mother holding where I lived over top of my head. I didn't. I had a presence of mind. I had a presence of mind at 16 that I did not want that. I did not want that for myself. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to raise myself. I wanted to take care of myself. And I did. That was my commitment. I'm not bragging about it. I'm being honest about it. That's what I did. I didn't have to. I could have stayed in my mother's house, but I didn't like the rules. I didn't like my mother's rules. So my mother said, you can't abide by my rules. Go get yourself your own place and you can do what you want. Ding, 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 ding. You ain't got to tell me twice, Mom. For my mother's passing, one of the things my mother had always said to me, and it sticks with me to this day, and I love you, Mom. I love you for this. My mother said to me, she says, out of all your brothers and sisters, I worry about you the least. It's not that I don't worry about you. I always worry for all of my children. But you, I know that you will always have a job and that you will always eat. And then she kissed me. And I think that in that little small way, that was my mother saying that she was proud of me. I know that there's things that, my mom and dad were kind of old school. They weren't really, complimentary. And it's not because they didn't feel a sense of pride. My dad was proud every time he came. My dad would come into one of my restaurants, and he would get the best meal and get the best service and, whatever beer he wanted to drink and everything like that. And I would just, give me that check, Dad. I got it. Sure. No, Dad, whatever you want to do, make sure you tip my waitress. You know what I mean? Handle that. And my dad would and everything like that. My dad would never say it to me. But I would hear him talking to people about his kids. And, when he would get to me, I could hear the smile in his voice where he talked about how proud he was of the jobs that I had and the positions that I had and the places that I visited and, the responsibility that I took seriously of the things that I learned from him. Like I said, I'm not perfect, guys. I failed a couple of times, a couple of times. But I got back up. I didn't make any excuses. I didn't. I just didn't make any excuses. I didn't make any excuses in life, and I didn't victimize myself when things went bad. I felt it, but I knew I had to fight it. I knew that I had to have a presence because after all of these losses in my family, not just what occurred to me, but other losses in my family that have happened recently, once again, like I said, I'm it. I'm it for my children. It's me. They don't have their pop anymore. The one that used to take them out to dinner and to Old Country Buffet. That was my dad's thing, Old Country Buffet. Pack them all up in the car, get them all out, let them eat to their heart's desire. That's why my kids love buffets to this day. That's my dad, not me. You know, my mom with her piano and her singing and just the love that she had of God and, you know, her belief and her faith and her virtualness. I know my mom cut up when she was young. I heard the stories. But I know that at the time that my mom turned 30, that she really dedicated her life to Christ and that she left the secular world and she didn't go out to the clubs and didn't go to church. And again, I'm not knocking nobody, but that's my example of a virtuous woman. Like I said, I knew my mother used to smoke. I knew my mother used to drink. I knew that my mother was promiscuous. I knew that. She had a boyfriend or two after her and my father divorced. I knew that. But again, like I said, I knew that after a certain point in time, she changed her life and turned to Christ, turned it over to Christ. And she lived like she read the scriptures. My love for the Bible comes from my mother reading the scriptures to me and making the scriptures alive for me. So when I read the scriptures, folks, it's for you if you want, but I read the scriptures for me and I put it in my program because I firmly believe that every platform should have some type of spirituality attached to it. You do you. Once again, I'm not judging. I'm not telling you which way to go. I know for me and my house that we will serve the Lord. That's for me and my house. What you do with your house is what you do with your house. But please understand that if your house intersects with my house, my walls, my fortress, my defenses, and I'm vigilant. I'm vigilant. Because I realize that we are fighting a spiritual war, that we are fighting a physical war, that we are fighting a war of social media. We are fighting a war for our children. We are fighting a war for our women. We are fighting a war for our men. And a lot of it is psychological. I see a lot of folks talking about different mental health tips, like get some sleep. But can I tell you folks that it's easy to say for us to get some rest? Our minds don't shut down. Our brains don't shut down. For a lot of us, we relive our traumas and our horrors inside of these quiet places. And because a lot of folks still haven't come to grips with what this mental health is doing, despite seeing all of the tragedies on TV and on the news of people who have mental health issues, we are still stigmatizing men specifically. We are still diminishing the roles of women, and we are losing our children all at the same time in real time. So where I appreciate the tips for mental health, I want to give everybody the only tip that I will give you for your mental health. Please seek professional help. Please. It was one of the best things that I have done for my adult life. It is the best thing that I've done for my adult life, for me, to sit and use this platform after counseling, after therapy sessions, after ongoing counseling, after ongoing therapy sessions, to have this ability to use my voice for Men's Mental Health Monday on cmpradio.net, The Wonderful World of Rich Blye. Again, there are men out there who need to hear a voice that is not afraid or nor ashamed of the stigma that comes with it. You can put whatever laugh emojis you want to put up there. I'm going to laugh right along with you after I get done with this program. Because I'm going to find it funny that you find it funny that people are talking about this in droves and no one's listening. No one's seeing what it's really going to do for those who have not, like myself, reached out for help. We are not alone. I appreciate the love of my family. I definitely appreciate the love of my very close friends that I call family. I appreciate the support of everybody that comes into the comments when I talk about the beauty of my family and the things that I love posting about my grandkids and their accomplishments, because, you know, that's what social media is for, to accent the positive about what goes on in your life. Everybody doesn't have to know what's going on in your bedroom. Nobody needs to know what you do with your significant other. Nobody needs to know these things. You know, I got a very good friend, my friend Rum Runner, who doesn't need a particular surgery. I've been praying for you, bro. I've been praying for you, bro. I've been praying for you. Absolutely. And God is good. And that type of news, this is somebody that I appreciate immensely. You know, he's called the Rum Runner, so he knows who he is. But this is somebody that's been in my corner. This is somebody that has acknowledged me and given me, you know, positivity. And he opened himself up. He made himself vulnerable about something that, I mean, you know, this guy's a bodybuilder, y'all. You know, he's the real deal. Let's put it this way. He's the real deal. He's very modest, but he's the real deal. And I know he's the real deal. But it comes a point in time in your life where you got to step out of yourself and realize that modesty might sometimes be a shameful pride or a fear of not seeking, you know, some type of feedback from people that aren't going to, say, judge you like a family person would. Because when you're up close and personal on it, when people are dealing with certain things medically or certain things physically or certain things as far as their mental health, there's a lot of apprehension to talk to people because there's a fear of being judged. Like, there's certain people I don't talk to. Like this is random, this is vague, but the deepest, innermost part of myself, the intimate parts of myself, there are people I will never have this type of discussion with. And then there are folks that I absolutely love, that I know that know me well enough that I can come and I can rest my head on their shoulders and they tell me that they love me and it's genuine. And these people aren't my blood. They're not my blood family. These people who absolutely saw my trauma and watched me get up only to be knocked back down, only to get back up, only to be knocked back down again, only to get back up and get knocked back down again. And now here I am getting back up again. But this time it's with a greater resolve. This time, I don't think that I will be knocked down again. This is where I draw the line in the sand. And this is why I start with, when you see me present and you see my presence, it's because I stand for something. And I have to, City of Chester, Nation of Delco, Upper Darby Township, Collindale, Darby Borough, Darby, Ashton, Springfield, Havertown, Clifton Heights, Broomall. There's a presence, because when you meet someone who looks like me and they act a certain way, a lot of you are judgmental. And you think that it applies to everyone who may look like me. Just in the same way, there are people who look at you and may apply that racist tag to you because that's all they know in their limited small minds. This is where we have to change all of that. I believe that you let a man speak and then judge him by an action. Let a man or a woman speak, but judge them by their actions. If your actions don't match your speech, then they're just present, a placekeeper, a placeholder. They're not a presence, meaning they're not helping you push the pile, that they're not illuminating shedding light on the problem to help you ascertain where something is wrong, to help you fix it or support you in your endeavor. A presence. We got a lot of people out here that are in some positions of presence, but they're just present. They're taking up space. They're taking up time. They're taking up resources. We're going to see a lot of kids with a lot of programs get served this summer here in Chester and other destinations coming up soon. I want to say something. If somebody sees your program and your program has merit where it inspires people, because remember, that's part of the reason why you got involved with your particular nonprofit, was to inspire people. And if someone comes and they come to you for resource, or they come to you for information, and they come to you and say, hey, I like that. Is this easy to do? No, and you provide just certain key elements of, and you share it, and they go and they create it someplace else, then you've done your job. Juneteenth was only being celebrated in Chester, in Delaware County, no place else, for years. Now, everybody is doing their own Juneteenth program in a lot of these cities, townships, and boroughs now. Are they copying? No. They are inspired to take that creativeness and bring it to an area with the same type of people who need the same type of stuff, so it doesn't stretch the resource from where you get it here. One day it's going to overlap if you both grow at the same time. So I say to a lot of these big time nonprofits that get pledged a whole lot of money, God bless y'all. God bless y'all. But a lot of you big time, present nonprofits, y'all ain't sharing the wealth. Y'all not supporting your brothers and sisters. You supporting a certain select few. And y'all know who y'all are. Don't make me name y'all. Because you know I'll do it. I'll do it. I do it because I'm an activist. Action is my middle name. Yeah, I got told that my middle name is now Action. Richard Action Blye. The A stands for action. My goodness. I did not... In a million years when I saw that come up, she was like, yeah, Richard Action Blye. Yeah, the A is for Richard A. Blye. The A is for action. I'm going to run with it because it is. I really believe that we need to be activated. We need to be motivated, and we need to discourage all of this simple-minded stuff that we have going on in our communities. Remember, it is Men's Mental Health Monday. Hug your husband. Hug your brother. Hug your sons. Wives. Today, tomorrow. Just sit beside your man and say, hey, are you okay? Not as in, are you okay right now? I want to know, are you okay? Is there something that you need to talk about with you so I can hear you. Men, you know we do that all the time, but this time really mean it. I mean, like really this time really mean it. Take yourself out of it. Take your ego out of it. Take your masculinity out of it. Take all that testosterone out of it. Go sit next to your significant other and ask them, are they really okay? You know how women are. Yeah, I'm good. I'm doing the best. Da, 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 da. But you'll hear that sigh. That resignating sigh that you hear right there is either they're afraid to speak on something because it might involve you, or something you didn't do, or something she wanted you to do, and you probably gonna know what it is when she say it. You gotta be able to take that, man. And then guess what? If she comes out and she tells you something that is making her feel this way, the very next thing you should do is go and fix that. That's just a piece of advice. I don't have no letters in front of my name, behind my name. I'm just a careful observationalist that has environment and history and how these things have happened to me and how I learned from them. So now I'm sharing an experience. I am not an expert, but I did learn. Some things I learned the easy way, and some things I learned the hard way. Some things were relatively smooth, some things not so much. Parents, with your teenagers, same thing. But make sure they understand that, hey, when you speak to me, understand who you're talking to. You can say what you want, but say it respectfully. That's how your dialogue with your children should be. It should never be on the point where they're speaking to you in a tone or a tone of voice or raising their voice because they're upset about something. They should sit down and understand that you're a mom, you're a dad, blah, blah, blah. Respectfully talk to me. So, because as a parent, when it comes to our kids, we don't use emotion first. We use logic first. Fathers and mothers. And this is a pattern that I've seen. When your child comes to you with something, a mother wants the facts. What happened? Who did it? Where did it happen? What did you do? Why did this person do that? Now we're going to get to the bottom of it. The who, the what, the where, the why, blah, blah, blah. Women, y'all great at that. And I think if you could take that model before you come to us men, maybe you need to take that approach with the who, the what, the where, the why before you start coming with accusations yourself, and take that model like you get to the kids when you deal with us. But that's another story. And correction and discipline are two different things. There's no need for discipline if you start with correction. Correction is needed in the lives of all children. Stop that. Don't touch that. Yes, because I said so. Because I said so is because I said so. There's no need to explain to you the harm and the danger that you're not ready for anyway. I've determined that this is harmful to you. No child has the right to question your presence when you say, this is harmful, I say no. It should never be why. And I hear that a lot. Your child's presence is in the house running things. When you allow your children to speak to you as if they were adults or on the same level. If that little ain't paying no bills, if they not putting gas in your car, if they not helping you pay that PS5 Pico bill, I don't see why any of these kids have an option or a choice to tell you, the adult, what you should be doing. But if you're the type of soft adult to let your child run all over top of you, you go right ahead. Yo, I'm sitting up here chilling in the studio. And while I'm chilling in the studio, Jean-Pierre's cat is in his chair. And he's looking at the equipment like he was about to press a button. Get on back up in that chair so I can show these people that you sitting in the producer's chair. Listen, the cat got out of the chair already. My goodness. He was right up there I guess he's about to sign me off. I was wondering. I guess he's about to say, yo, your time is up, brother. I'm tired of hearing you talk. Get out of the studio. But I'm gonna leave you guys with something real quick. Well, hold on. Let me talk about this new book that I got. It's called The 5/5 Compromise. 5/5. If anybody understands what the history lesson is with the 5/5 no compromise, this is the infallible human rights and souls of black folks in addition by a man by Jeff Weaver. Mr. Jeff Weaver signed this book for me personally. I have not read it yet, but there is his patented signature in there. He's written 3 other books that I'm interested in as well. But this book I was absolutely fascinated by because I understood the 3/5 compromise of slavery and that time and the codification in Article 1, Section 2, Chapter 3 of the United States Constitution. So the 5/5 no compromise, the unalienable human rights and souls of black folk by Jeff Weaver is an African-centered perspective on solving the X factor in the human equation. 3/5 slave plus X equals 5/5 whole human beings for black Americans specifically and black people worldwide in general. This book, written by Jeff Weaver, is inspired and driven by the divine wisdom of Almighty God, the African forces, Holy Spirit, and the ancestors. The premise of the 5/5 no compromise is to establish the fact that, number one, the United States Constitution codified the value of black lives in Article 1, Section 2, Chapter 3, more popularly known as the 3/5 Clause or 3/5 of a person, a codification which has never been expressly amended or eradicated. Now, I know a lot of people about to come on, Rich, no, this does this. If a law stays on the book, the law's the law. Same thing like I talk about the clause inside of the 13th Amendment that people still give me hassle about and say, oh, no, well, this took care of that. No, it didn't. The clause inside of the 13th Amendment is specifically for black Americans from the ancestry of slavery. Even in your ancestry of freedom, they have tied you to slavery in the 13th Amendment because it says so explicitly that you are free from enslavement except if you are convicted of a crime, then you are returned back into a status of slavery. Anybody want to dispute me? Of course you do. I don't care. It's there. 2, in order for black victims of the transatlantic slave trade, white supremacy, and colonialism to establish their genuine human status, that they must embrace their own traditions, their own customs, and their own culture in an autonomous mutual respect based upon coexistence with their former slave masters and governors. Furthermore, in order to connect the various splinters of black subcultures that exist in the U.S. and globally, there must be an establishment of the one cultural thread that exists in common with the genetic heredity of the people in question. For black Americans and black people worldwide, that common cultural thread is the drum pulse that originated in Africa. It is the one cultural element that is powerful and consistent whenever black people are heavily populated in the world. This author, Jeff Weaver, calls that thread the drum-centered culture and has identified it as the key element in sewing together the global cultural fabric that will restore black people to a 5/5 autonomous culture of thriving human beings with lives that matter. This book is published by Monarch Press. Each one of them is pretty much an acronym: M.O.N.A.R.C.H.Press. You can find this at custombootique.com. Like again, I got my copy signed. I'm into this thing about when I meet the authors of books that I like to read, I'm also want to get their signatures to let them know that not only am I purchasing their books, not only am I reading their books, that I have their signatures because I value what they're bringing out. That's going to help me with my knowledge and education. So with that being said, folks, let's make this a good week. Let's make some positive changes. Remember, it is Men's Mental Health Mondays, but this is Mental Health Month. Go love somebody, go hug somebody, go be there for somebody. I'll see you on the flip side.